Friends, today we are going to discuss about the formation of female gametes, and that is known as oogenesis. Oogenesis is the process in which the female gametes or ova, mature ova, are produced in the ovary. Oogenesis is quite different from the process of spermatogenesis because oogenesis starts at the fetal stage. That means when the female baby, she baby is in the form of fetus, form of embryo, only then the process of oogenesis starts. The fetal ovary contains couple of million cells which are known as female gamete mother cells or oogonia. Female gamete mother cells or oogonia, couple of million oogonia present in each fetal ovary. After birth, that means when the fetal stage is completed, fetal development is completed and birth takes place, after birth, not a single oogonia is added, not a single oogonia is increased in the number. These oogonia enter into division, and that is meiotic division. Meiotic kind of division. Meiosis takes place in oogonia, and these oogonia are become arrested in prophase 1. They will not move further in this kind of meiotic division. The oogonia become arrested for a shorter time in prophase 1, and they are known as primary oocyte Now this primary oocyte develops layer of granulosa cells around it. So around primary oocyte, a layer of granulosa cells start to develop, and this structure is called primary follicle. Now, the number of primary follicle always depends upon the number of primary oocytes. As I told you earlier, couple of millions primary oocyte or gamete mother cells occur. So primary oocyte will be like that only, and so that the number of primary follicles will be in millions. But from birth to the puberty, when the development of the female occurs, at that time the primary follicles start degenerating. So most of the primary follicles become degenerated during the phase of birth to puberty, and so that at puberty only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles occur in the ovary. How many? Only 60,000 to 80,000. Now these primary follicles again develop layer of granulosa cells and new membranes known as theca, and they are converted into secondary oocytes. So the primary oocyte, primary follicle is converted into secondary follicle. Why? Because in primary follicle, new theca are added, new layer of granulosa cells are added, and so that the primary follicle is converted into secondary follicle. Now what happens? The secondary follicle is quickly, rapidly becomes converted into tertiary follicle. What is the difference between primary, secondary and tertiary follicle? In primary follicle, the primary oocyte occurs. In secondary follicle, new theca and new layer of granulosa cells occur. Whereas in tertiary follicle, there is a fluid-filled cavity which is known as antrum is present. So, antrum is nothing but the distinguishing characteristic of tertiary follicle. And here, in tertiary follicle, the primary oocyte which was there completes its first meiotic division. As I told you earlier, it was arrested in prophase 1. Now, the primary oocyte completes its first meiotic division, which is unequal division. And as a result, from every primary oocyte, two unequal sized cells are produced. One will be larger, another one will be smaller. The larger one is called secondary oocyte. Whereas the smaller one is known as primary polar body. Now see, friends, remember, the primary oocyte will be having the chromosomal constitution exactly like the oogonia. That means 46 chromosomes occur in every primary oocyte. Primary oocyte occurs in primary follicle, it occurs in secondary follicle. Whereas secondary oocyte is nothing but the result of first meiotic division in primary oocyte. That means the number of chromosomes will be 23 in secondary oocyte as well as primary polar body. But the secondary oocyte retains most of the nutrient-rich cytoplasm from primary oocyte. That means maximum cytoplasm occurs in secondary oocyte, so that the size of the secondary oocyte is larger than the primary polar body. Now what happens? The tertiary follicle again grows, it develops, and it becomes converted into full grown follicle, that is called Graafian follicle. And here, in the development of Graafian follicle, the role of secondary oocyte also is major. The secondary oocyte develops a layer around it, and this layer is called zona pellucida, which is the protective layer of secondary oocyte. Now, the Graafian follicle becomes completely mature. It is nothing but the mature form of follicle, ovarian follicle. And the Graafian follicle ruptures, it bursts. and so that it will release the secondary oocyte. This process of release of secondary oocytes from mature Graafian follicle is called an ovulation. Now, some of us will think that what about the second meiotic division of secondary oocyte? See friends, it is not described in our textbook right now. It will come in the process of fertilization, but now what happens? See, if you want to understand then, after ovulation, if fertilization of secondary oocyte occurs with the help of mature sperm cell, then only the secondary oocyte will complete its maturation. That means the second kind of meiotic division. And so, when sperm fertilizes, that means sperm enters into the secondary oocyte at the process of fertilization, only then the maturation of the second meiotic division of secondary oocyte becomes completed, and secondary oocyte again undergoes unequal division to form two unequal sized cells. One will be again larger, another will be again smaller. The smaller one is known as secondary polar body, and this one will be known as female pronucleus or female cavity. This only occurs when the sperm fertilize the ova, only then. If fertilization does not occur, then what will happen? There will be no completion of maturation of secondary oocyte, which is released from the ovary by the process of ovulation. And later on, the secondary oocyte becomes disintegrated, becomes degenerated, and will come out in the form of menstruation. So this was all about the process which is known as oogenesis. Oogenesis is very important process, and it is quite different from the process of spermatogenesis. Let's quickly revise the same thing. Oogenesis starts at the time of fetal development. In fetal ovary, couple of millions of cells are present, which are known as oogonia, or they are called female germ cells. The oogonia will not be added after birth. The number will be determined at the time of fetal development. So, what will happen? The oogonia will enter into the first meiotic division in prophase 1, and there they become trapped for some time. These cells are known as primary oocytes. Primary oocytes will develop the layer of granulosa cells, and they are converted into primary follicle. The number of primary follicle quickly degenerate, quickly decrease because of the degeneration of primary follicles from the time of birth to puberty. And at puberty, what happens? New layers are produced of granulosa cells, new theca are produced, and so that the primary follicles are converted into secondary follicles. The second number of secondary follicles will be around 60,000 to 80,000. Same. Now, the secondary follicles are converted into tertiary follicles, and tertiary follicles is demarcated by the presence of a fluid-filled cavity that is called the antrum. And at that time, new layers are produced, and so that, and again, the primary oocyte will complete its first meiotic division, and it will be converted into secondary oocyte. But this division is kind of unequal division. So two unequal sized cells are produced. The smaller one is called the primary polar body, and the larger one is called secondary oocyte. The number of chromosomes in secondary oocyte will be 23 in place of 46. Again, remember friends. Tertiary follicle, secondary follicle is converted into tertiary follicle as I told you earlier. And now, the tertiary follicle again matures and it is converted into Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte. This is known as the process of ovulation. Now some of us will ask a question. What happens to the primary polar body? Right now it is quite not known, but most of the scientists think that the primary polar body also undergoes division, second meiotic division, and that will be at the time of fertilization, and they again, the primary polar body again produce two small cells which are called the secondary polar body. So at the end, the number of secondary polar body from every secondary oocyte will be 3 and 1 will be female pronucleus. This was the process of oogenesis. Last time we have studied the process of spermatogenesis. This time we have studied the process of oogenesis. And now, a kind of characteristic of female primates, and that is known as menstrual cycle and menstruation, that we are going to learn today. Now, we are going to learn about the menstrual cycle. What is menstrual cycle? See, cyclic menstrual cycle is nothing but the characteristics of primates. That means apes, monkeys, human, and it is the characteristic of female primates. The menstrual cycle or the menstruation begins at puberty. And when the first menstruation is observed, it is called menarche. Menarche is nothing but the first menstruation, the starting, the initiation of menstruation, and that is known as menarche. Now, in female humans, the menstrual cycle lasts for 28 to 29 days. And during these 28 to 29 days, there will be cyclic changes in the innermost layer of uterus, that is called endometrium, as well as the level of secretions of gonadotropins, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. And over and above that, the hormones of ovaries, those are estrogen and progesterone. For the easiness of the understanding, we can divide the menstrual cycle or the events occurring during menstrual cycle into 4 different phases. The first phase is called menstrual phase. Menstrual phase lasts from 1st to 3 or 5 days. The first 3 or first 5 days. At that time what happens? The levels of hormones is less in the body. And so that the endometrium, which is the innermost layer of uterus, disintegrates, and so that the blood vessels which supply blood to endometrium. They also disintegrate, and the broken endometrium and blood vessels, that means they become ruptured and they come out in the form of blood flow from vagina, and that is called menstruation. And during each menstruation, a woman loses around 50 to 150 ml of blood. This is called menstrual phase or phase of menstruation. Now, the second phase, that is called proliferative phase. It lasts from 6 to 13 days. During this, what happens? In proliferative phase, here, there will be development of follicles. So the ovarian follicles which are there in the ovary, they start to mature, they start to develop. And during this time, the hormones of pituitary gland as well as the hormones of ovary, they also play an important role. The pituitary, anterior pituitary gland secrete gonadotropins. And gonadotropins, as I discussed you earlier, they are of two types, LH and FSH. In the mid of the menstrual cycle, the level of LH and FSH, that means the secretion of LH and FSH, becomes optimum, becomes maximum. And so that it will result into the development of follicles. And along with it, there will be development of endometrium. Again, endometrium becomes proliferated, endometrium starts to become thicker. On the 14th day, that is the third phase of menstrual cycle, and that is known as ovulatory phase. On the 14th day, that is the mid of menstrual cycle, the rapid secretion of LH becomes maximum, and that is known as LH surge. And because of LH surge, the developed follicle, developed ovarian follicle, which is called Graafian follicle, ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte. This process is known as ovulation. So ovulation occurs on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. This is the characteristic of human beings. So, as I told you earlier, the menstrual cycle is divided into 4 different phases. The first one is menstrual phase. It lasts for 5 days. The proliferative phase, that is the second phase, it lasts from 6 to 13 days, 6 to 13 days. Here the development of ovarian follicles start, and the ovarian follicles are converted into the mature ovarian follicle, which are known as Graafian follicle. In the third phase, that is known as ovulatory phase, that means on the 14th day, the level of LH becomes maximum, which is called LH surge. And it will induce the Graafian follicle to become ruptured, and it will release the secondary oocyte from E, and that is known as the process of ovulation. Whereas in the fourth phase, and the fourth phase is called luteal phase. In luteal phase, that means the remaining 15 to 28 days. What happens? After the process of ovulation, the Graafian follicle is converted into corpus luteum. See, in proliferative phase, the development of ovarian follicles occur, and ovarian follicle will release the hormone known as estrogen. And estrogen will again induce the ovarian follicles to grow into Graafian follicle. Whereas in luteal phase, the ruptured Graafian follicle is converted into corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum will secrete a hormone known as progesterone. And progesterone is responsible for the development of endometrium. The endometrium becomes glandular. And this glandular endometrium becomes ready for the process of implantation. Implantation is nothing but the setting of fertilized ova or zygote into uterus, into the innermost layer of uterus after the process of fertilization. But see, endometrium becomes glandular and it becomes ready for the process of implantation. Implantation only occurs when the fertilization is done. And if fertilization is done, the events of menstrual cycle become stopped. That means after that, after the process of fertilization, no further menstrual cycle you can see. The embryo becomes embedded in the endometrium and fetal development starts. No signs of menstrual cycle up to delivery occurs. But if fertilization do not occur, then what will happen? If fertilization do not occur, then the endometrium which was there and the corpus luteum which was there, they both will become start to disintegrate, to degenerate. So endometrium will degenerate, corpus luteum will degenerate, and the secretion of progesterone stops. And this will start again the menstruation. That means we will come again over here, the first phase. So, friends, these were the events which were occurring in the cyclic menstrual cycle. So, reproductive phase of female human can be characterized by the regular intervals of menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle means what? It is nothing but the phase between two successive menstruations. But in human females, the menstruation or the menstrual cycles stops or ceases at the time of 50 years, that means at the age of 50 years. Around 45 to 50 years, the menstruation ceases, the menstrual cycle ceases in humans. And this is called menopause. So see, menarche is nothing but the starting of menstrual cycle. Menopause is nothing but the stopping or ceasing of menstrual cycle. The period between these two, menarche and menopause, denotes the reproductive period of females in humans. So this was all about the process of oogenesis as well as the process of menstrual cycle or menstruation. Thank you.